Let's talk about finding buyers. Let's talk about the attraction of potential buyers. The single biggest determinant, Phil, of your exit price, I would say. A lot of people think internally about the business, but given that your business is in reasonable shape for exit, the single biggest determinant that will move the needle on the value is the quantity and quality of buyers that you get looking at the transaction. Hands down, without question. Said yesterday about bidding war. It's like I absolutely want to try and create competitive tension. I absolutely want to create that competitive tension. And most people, they work really hard on getting the business in shape. But metaphorically, you've got the best house. You've got a beautifully maintained house, gorgeous location, blah, 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 decorated immaculately, just stunning. And you literally list it, not even online, in the window of one estate agent in your local village. It's not selling. And if it does sell, it ain't selling for the best price. Whereas inversely, if it goes on all the websites and it gets a mass number of eyeballs, great. And then if you're really, really, really smart and you get all the buyers to turn up at the same time or about the same time, you will get a bidding war, right, on the house. All right? And that will push the price up. So I'm in favor of attraction. So there's two pieces of this. First of all, the IM. So our information memorandum called the IM. IMs can exist in people trying to raise money, but in the context of what we're talking about, the information memorandum is normally a relatively short document. It's a teaser document which gives a few component parts. I mean, I said yesterday a one-pager. That's not necessarily true. I mean, these things can be dozens of pages long, but it will sum up a few things. There'll be an executive summary, which is kind of like a high-level summary about what the business does, what it is, or what you're looking to do, right? You're looking to sell. It will have summary financial information, revenues, profits, and the trend line of those things over a few years. It might have gross margins, so like a really simplified, summarized P&L and balance sheet, typically. It will often talk about the market that you're in, so kind of key competitors, stuff like that. I'm probably missing something, but off the top of my head, they're the major ones. Oh yeah, thank you. There might be summary of the assets and the things that are coming, which might include the people in the business. Yeah, that's fair as well. So really, it's the teaser document. It's the sales letter for the business. It's not warts and all the nuances. It's the pitch document that is basically saying, hey, this is the IM. I'm using this as a synonym and it's not quite true. This is the pitch deck for selling our business. Here's the key facts, key summary points, and why, Bill, it would be an absolute steal for you to buy this business. Sometimes it can include the valuation, sometimes it doesn't. It's often, again, very brief, so opportunity for growth, because effectively it's the briefest pitch deck. Is like, here's the business, here's its biggest strengths, here's like the team, here's what we're selling, here's kind of summary of the financials, so the history, and here's why it's an attractive proposition for blah, blah, blah. We're looking for XYZ buyer. Sometimes it includes the price. More often than not, my experience is it doesn't, but it depends on the nature and your industry. So that's what an information memorandum is. And look, don't get lost in this. If you go to Google, you can find 100 IMs. If you look at enough of them, it's a bit like, how do you know if a property, a 2-bedroom flat in this area, if it's a good deal or a bad deal? It's like, well, if you look at 50 2-bedroom flats in this area, you'll get a pretty good feel for if the 51st one's good or not. Go and have a look at IMs. By the way, the easiest way to do that would be to go on like businessesforsale.com and pretend to be a buyer and request a load of IMs. Because it's the document. It's the equivalent of the listing for properties. It's like, oh yeah, the property is this square footage. It's in this location. It's got this many rooms. It's got a new kitchen. It's okay. But clearly, it's not at the level of depth, David, that you get if you actually go to buy the house and you do all the surveys. Right? It's the summary. Trying to entice people to come in. All right, so go and have a look, and it's not a bad idea. Like, you don't have to take weeks, but it's not a bad idea. Like, start thinking about, I would, Derek, someone go, no, get somebody else to draft it who knows what they're doing. But if I've read enough, I kind of go, I'm going to have a bash at trying to create my own or the outline for it and then get it tidied up by somebody that's more skilled later. Because I kind of go, if I can't put down a pretty good pitch, it's going to be a painful sales process. And of course, a broker or somebody with experience selling might be able to coach you in better questions or better way of positioning it, It's not a shitty little box room, it's a cozy bedroom, right? That kind of stuff. So that's the IM. And then, generic comment, find buyers. That's the one question everybody wants to know. And for most of the businesses in this room, it's not always true, but for most of the businesses in this room, Nobody likes this answer, but in experience, it's just bloody true. You probably already know the buyer. So you've got to think about, get your head in the mind of the buyer, who would want to buy your business? And yes, can you use business brokers and stuff? But as we said yesterday, I'm not really massively in favor. Your lawyer might know, your accountant might know. So my lawyer, my accountant do sometimes periodically come and say, hey, I've got a client that's selling this business. Might you be interested in it? Okay. And they've obviously got permission from the client and all the rest of it. But they're like, okay, so professionals in the space do the space. Sam and I talk about deals. When we'll talk, okay, yeah, what have you got going on? I've got, fine. Pass things backwards and forwards. I've got friends, angel investors. I mentioned Simon Inchley. Right, we'll go for walks. They're like, what businesses have you got? I'm not naive, Seb. Simon's partly my friend because he knows that I've run this group, which means I've always got loads of interesting businesses, some of which could be possible investments for him. I like to think he's a bit more than that now after a few years, but like initially it was 100% a transactional friendship. It's like, yeah. Like, so he'll give me some advice on some things, and then equally he's like, right, great. Do you have any businesses that are seeking investment? But for you, who would be the best buyer for your business? And trade sales, so there's the management team and there's trade sales are the most common routes, right? And then typically you're going to go, yeah. So it's people that, you've been in your industry for 20 years, Seb. You already know the heads of the competitors. You've probably got the direct access. How do you start that process? And people go, tell me exactly what I need to say, Johan. What do I have to say to this? But you're dealing with people. It's like, how do you make a big price point sale? It depends on the person. It depends what their needs are. Depends what they're looking for. Sometimes it's very casual, subtle, come at it sideways. Otherwise, it's very direct. Johan, I'm thinking about putting my company on the market. But before I did that, I thought I'd approach people that I think it could be a valuable asset to. Might you be one of those people? Sometimes that direct approach is spot on. Yeah, let's have a coffee. And people make it complicated. We're going to send out hundreds of letters to, everybody in our industry, like in a blind way saying, Mr. Bradbury, you're in the training. So I get that semi-frequently. They say, Mr. Bradbury, you're in a training space. Well, we represent a client that has a very reputable training company of this revenue. And I'm like, okay, fine. And so that maybe that works for some people, but I kind of go, I don't. I sometimes say, yeah, I'm interested just because I actually want to see the IM and see if I can figure out who the company is. But in a lot of cases, if I'm selling my company, the tricky bit is I want the highest number of buyers I possibly can, Ian. But I don't want the whole world to know that it's for sale. Why not? Why not? Because it can affect business badly. Because the most common assumption when people are like, so-and-so selling their business, what's the most common assumption people might make? Competitors especially. The business is going to shit. And then they can and do come up to your staff, your key customers, your key suppliers and go, holy crap. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I want potential buyers to know because I could get a multi-million-pound payday, Johan. But on the flip side, I don't want everybody to know. I only actually want qualified, legit, interested buyers to know, which is why I kind of go, I'm not for brokers. I'm much more for bespoke individual approach, which typically, Heidi, is more, hey, Johan, I'm just exploring some ideas. I'm thinking ahead. Probably not yet, but I'm thinking ahead. I kind of go, I want to retire in the next 5 years. And I'm trying to think about who would be the right person to take over this, because this business is doing great and I think it can do a lot better. Will continue to do well and can do a lot better. But I was thinking who would really make this thing fly. And I came up with a very short list and you're one of the people on the list. Is it worthy of us having a conversation about that? And then if they're not, I'll quickly shut up talking about that. I think a lot of people go, don't make it complicated. Who are your list of potential buyers? And then start making a list and then start going out for a lot of coffees. I drink a lot of coffee. And, I sometimes think about alcohol, but I drink a lot more coffee than alcohol, thankfully. And I kind of go, right, all my coffees are indirectly, I'm either buying or selling a business. Why? Because all my friends are business people. So I'm always interested. Sometimes not very seriously said, but it's a bit like, yeah, great, what's going on? How's business? How's things? Oh, what's your long-term plans? Oh, okay. Oh, wow, you got loads of cash. What are you going to do that? Are you trying to stay in the business? Are you trying to... Plenty of people in this room, that's a different context because it's kind of a client relationship, but I'm still going to go, I always want to know. Why? Because it's interesting. And actually, the best deals, as Sam said yesterday, are found off the market. Switching back to property metaphor, the best deals, if you're buying a house, it's never on the market. If it's been on the market, and it's listed with the agent, there's going to be a bidding war, which if you're buying, you don't want that. You want to find somebody just before or doesn't think their business can sell. And you can get in there and go, well, I might be open to it. But you can't be too keen either, David. If you're too keen, it puts the price up. So it's always just to gently, let's have coffee. What's going on? What are you interested in? What's going on? What's your long-term plans? Do you want to exit? Can you engage brokers, lawyers, build a network of people that might feed stuff to you or might help sell your business? Yes. Who do you know? Because you can go to a professional advisor, a lawyer, an accountant, and say, look, I want to sell my business because you've got client confidentiality. I'm looking to sell my business. Can you help me find anybody? On the inverse, when I said my lawyer comes to me and says, look, Dan, I've got this deal. Here's the terms of it. It's because his client has said to him, I'm looking to sell. Do you know anybody? And whatever the guy's looking to do, Michael thinks I'm a good fit. So what are your source of potential buyers? So when it comes to attracting buyers, I think, yes, you've got to have the documentation, i.e. the IM is helpful as a starting point, but that doesn't mean you have to do that before you find potential buyers. But of course, if you find a potential buyer that's interested, Joe, what's the first thing they're going to want to know? They're going to go, well, I need to see stuff. And how do you decide where to draw the line? Because we're going to talk about due diligence next. But I kind of go, oh, you create the document. You go, well, that's stuff that I am willing to disclose. Right? That's where I will go on the first date. This is first base. Right? I'm like, oh my God, why have I started this already? Right? That's from attraction. And then we'll get more into the nitty gritty of the selling process momentarily. 5 minutes. I want you to brainstorm, think, then we'll discuss. Attraction, away we go. Attraction. So finding people that want to buy your business. So two things that I'll throw in there. One is, I heard somebody mention NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So I stripped it out of this, but that would normally go before the information memorandum. So they won't send you any information until you sign the NDA. So if you look at a business broker websites, as an example, it'll give you like a 1-paragraph summary, and then you request the information, and then they'll often go, sign this NDA. And just to be clear, and again, technically you should have a lawyer look over the NDA, because occasionally they can be egregious. But having said that, I've never known anybody be sued by an NDA ever, but doesn't mean it can't happen. Just be conscious when you sign legal documents. But the effectively the NDA is saying, right, you can't go and share that information publicly, in effect. That's it. So that's what you're agreeing to. And so the NDA normally goes in there, but that's relatively minor. Not most NDAs are a page long and are very simplistic. So normally it's like, oh yeah, you want information, sign this NDA. That's how that bit works. The second thing, do you want to ever share this, David? No. Yeah, because I think it was a great example. So David he's got the main bakery business. We've got a lot of staff and and that's what he had in his head, but he's got a small other business that he had. And I remember when in a board of advisors meeting a while ago when I found out about this little business. It's a tiny little business, but the margins are absolutely outrageous. I won't put him on the spot. All I'll say is, can I say what type of business it is? So he owns like an independent news agent that he's not operational in. Oh my God, this thing makes money. It's outrageous. Like if I ask you, can I share percentage-wise what percentage net margin is? Thank you. What percentage net margin do you think an independent news agent would make? What percentage do you think it would make net? 60? I would have said 10%. Yeah, I would have guessed like 10%, like 15%. I'm going to go, this isn't going to be a cash cow. It's like 70%, almost 70% net margins. I'm like, what? I'm going into the newsagent business. It's absolutely outrageous. So I knew about this business, and David just said, oh, when you're talking then, I realized I'm thinking about, long-term plans for the bakery and, that group, which is, again, large. And he went, maybe I should sell this thing off. So he just went to ChatGPT and said, put in some basic data and said, right, ChatGPT, what do you need to know to write an information memorandum? Gave it a few very simple bits of data. And I've just glanced at it. I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. Like, it really isn't bad. So, to Bill's point, it's kind of going, before you go, if you are going to pay somebody, fine. But before you pay somebody, at least go to ChatGPT for like a common sense check. It's a bit like Suzanne Dibble, for those who don't know, who's a lawyer who's in our community, but she's not at this meeting. She's come up with a custom GBT that gives legal advice, right? And it's great, but she caveats, she's going, look, it's not a substitute for a lawyer, but it's for asking ideas, common sense, it gives reasonably robust legal answers. So I'm like, yeah, I absolutely, hands down, Dave. Like when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, great. And what did it have? Had an executive summary, it had key financial information, it had the kind of key market information. It was like, yeah. And so for a first pass, created for free in 5 minutes of David inputting kind of key bits of data, I think it was bang on. So add that to your list. Remember, we're just trying to get this concept at a high level.